So here we are in Vegas, and now it's time for you to fess up. How many gamers do we have in the room? And we're not going to ask you which games, but we started Kids at Play at CES for the simple reason that we felt that the hardware and software industries were not really paying attention to the next generation of digital citizens. And yes, as parents, we all want our kids to be brighter, smarter, but it is more than that. As you're starting to see all too clearly, this is an economic issue. If we do not raise children who are fully engaged as 21st century citizens from understanding the good and bad of technology and how to use it rather than it use them, we are sunk, A, as a country, the US, and B, for this audience, as a world. And so here we are, and we're not the biggest part of CES, but I want us to be the loudest part that lobbies to take some of the tremendous innovation on the show floor with Samsung, Motorola, LG, Intel, Apple in absentia. You've seen all of these wonderful products come out, and now we've got to build worlds that will capture kids' imaginations. So Warren Buckleitner will be your MC this morning. There's no more terrific believer in the power of kids and technology, and who's kept the faith for so long. And we really want to hear from you on how we can grow this increasingly more important and increasingly more vocal audience. As you know, with the education system in our country, technology is going to figure in big. We will help shape how it figures in. Let's do the right thing. So those are the issues that you're going to look at. And I thought to start our morning off, we'd actually focus on the Las Vegas theme and do a little gaming. I went to a conference called Games for Change, run one of the co-founders will be speaking to you in a minute, Burak, and I was incredibly moved by the enthusiasm of young people in particular who not only felt games could change the world, but change the whole world, everywhere. And I really wanted to share some of what came out of that conference for me with you. So I'm going to invite the co-founder of Games for Change, Burak, to talk to you for a few minutes, and then followed by Dale Doherty, who runs the Maker Media. And we'll talk to you about the importance of, while we're talking about technology, we don't have to separate it from making things with our hands and our minds as well. So with no further ado, you are going to have the most fun. I can't leave you in the hands of better people. I will see you in a bit. And Asi, come join us.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, great. So thank you for the introduction. I want to tell you a bit about Games for Change, what it's all about. We're a non-profit. We're based in New York. We have now chapters in Korea, Latin America, and Europe. And the idea behind Games for Change is that games can go beyond entertainment. So we are great believers in the idea that just like movies and books and TV before games, games is a medium. And as a medium, it can address all issues. And it can address all tastes and across genders, across ages. And only, I would say, 10 people raise their hands when we ask who is a gamer. We believe that in 5, 10, 15 years, we won't even need to ask the question because everybody will be a gamer. We're not saying people are film goers or theater watchers or TV watchers. Everybody is, right? Same will be with interactive media. Okay, so now you know everything about Games for Change. Do you know who this woman is? No one? Yeah. Who said it? Are you a fan? This is Kim Kardashian. She's the new type of world celebrities. A celebrity that is not necessarily a celebrity because she's acting great or she invented the new Apple, just because she's a celebrity. And she's very rich and arguably beautiful. And I never believed that I'll put her on my first slide. But I want to tell you a short story, and I think that's a good way to begin this. The story is about her wedding. So not a long time ago, she announced that she's going to get married, and this became a huge media event. And she didn't spend a dime on this wedding. All sponsorships, media rights, free gifts, multi-million-dollar wedding, almost equal to the royal wedding in the UK. However, short time after, less than 3 months, she filed for a divorce. And, people felt cheated because multi-million-dollar went into it. Many people were following it like crazy, but it didn't work out. And let's talk about numbers. It lasted 72 days. The investment was almost $18 million, and just the ring itself was $2 million. Then many people that felt cheated started to respond and started to say things, among them Nick Kristof. Those of you who don't know, Nick Kristof is a Pulitzer Prize winner, an author, op-ed writer on the New York Times, and he became, in the last years, Mr. Social Change, highlighting things from Darfur to Egypt to Tunisia. And he said something very simple on his Twitter that has, by the way, more than 1.2 million followers. He said, if Kim Kardashian, instead of investing all this money in a wedding that didn't even last 3 months, would take it and, by his calculation, build schools in the developing world, that would account for 200 new schools built. That was very provocative, even though he just shared a simple thought. And many of her fans started, bashing, and there was a kind of responses from all over. And this is just one of the examples, saying, what do you want from her life? You probably have a great high salary yourself. Why don't you build schools? But as a matter of fact, he did build a school. And this was his response. He built a school in Cambodia. Not to mention that he dedicated his career, his writing career, to highlight issues all over the world and make the world a better place. There is a happy ending to the story. This is something I saw a few weeks ago. It's a retweet by Nick Kristof. So Kim Kardashian got the message. And she's actually visiting a school in Zambia, and she's trying to exercise some social responsibility. We're yet to see if it's a hobby or she's taking it, further. But it's good news. I mean, she got the message, and this is a message that Spider-Man got years ago because Uncle Ben said it to him. The idea that with great power comes great responsibility. And this is something that, it's a very simple message, almost a cliche, but to all of us, people that are lucky, we have our either talents, powers, superpowers, we have money, and there are people in the world that are less privileged and less lucky than we are, and we can, in sometimes very small ways, give back. How it's, tying back to our context of products, services, technology, design, someone who articulated very well is Dr. Pollack. And what he said was basically that if you think about it, and CES is a great place to think about it, most of our design, most of the designers of our world are actually targeting 10% of the world's population. Only 10%. Everything we do, all the effort, all the investment. What about the other 90%? And the other 90% are people living mostly in the developing world, living on less than $10 a day. In terms of numbers, we're talking about 5.8 billion people. Almost half of them live on less than $2 a day. So they can't afford most of the gadgets you see here, and they can't afford most of the products and services that are being designed in the West. I want to tell you about one project that we're involved with called Half the Sky, that is really trying to a different approach. It's trying to go for those 90%, and it's trying to bring very talented media people, very talented storytellers, to actually address those issues, and address them in a compelling, engaging way, in an entertainment way, and not just in a preachy, earnest way that this is not what we want to do. At the core of the project is the book by Nick Kristof that you saw earlier, and his wife, Cheryl Woodan. The book is called Half the Sky. It's a very successful nonfiction book. Right now, it's the 22nd edition of the hardcover all over the world. And the book is around women and girls' empowerment all over the world across issues. It could be health, education, economic empowerment, sex trafficking, gender-based violence. And it was so successful that it actually started a movement. So now Half the Sky became, kind of the flag and the banner for this movement for women and girls all over the world. And it also quickly became a transmedia project. By transmedia, I mean that you have more than one channel, one media outlet. You have a book now. There's going to be a TV show, primetime TV series. There's going to be a website, social media, and games. And we at Games for Change are working with Nick Kristof on the games. I don't know if you saw recently this week, there were a few appearances on Mashable and Fast Company talking about this thing. Let me start with the TV series so you know what to expect. That's going to air at the end of 2012. It's going to be 2 nights on PBS primetime, so altogether 4 hours. And the format is that Nick Kristof and Cheryl went with celebrity leaders, celebrity women, all over the world, 11 countries. In this case, you see America Ferrera. There were Meg Ryan and Eva Mendes. And the idea is that in each country, they highlighted another issue that is relevant, especially to girls in those countries. And the series also includes interviews with luminaries such as Hillary Clinton, the UN Secretary, but the whole idea of really bringing it to light. We're also making games. So how games are coming into that? The first project is a Facebook game. Facebook is a perfect platform for social change. It's around collaboration. It's around making progress because my friends are helping me. And it's about playing for 15, 20 minutes a day, but it could be for over a month or years. I mean, you can look at Farmville and Cityville. And the idea we have with the Facebook game is around those microtransactions. I don't know how many of you saw people play Facebook or play yourself, but it's a lot about buying those virtual goods. But all that money goes to the pockets of Zynga and Playdom and Disney and other companies. In our case, that money is going to NGOs on the ground. So if you build a school in the game, a real school is going to be built in the world. And if you buy a goat, the money will go to EFR International that will donate a goat to a real family in Africa, and it could make a huge financial difference for them. We're also making mobile games. So unlike the Facebook game that goes and kind of talking to global audiences to raise awareness, the mobile games are actually going directly to the people on the ground. So we're talking about girls and boys in India and Africa that are going to play those games. And in this case, talking about technology, we are going 5, 10 years back in terms of tech development. So we're going to develop it for Java phones because that's the dominant media that those kids have. Sometimes they don't have internet access. Sometimes they don't have a landline, but they do have those mobile phones. The first game we're making is called Worm Attack, just to demonstrate. Intestinal worms is a huge issue in the developing world. It was a huge issue in the US 100 years ago as well, and it was solved. It's not only a health issue, it's also an education issue. Because if kids have worms in their belly, it's not only affecting their health, they're also less focused, they have less energy, and they won't go to school. And in the US, when it was solved, attendance in schools rise dramatically. So the idea of this game is very simple. It's a tower defense game. The worms are coming from the top of the screen, and the kids need to place the pills strategically to fight them and kill them. And the link is, the pills kill the worms. The solution is already there. Those are free pills. You only have to take them once or twice a year, and you're cured. Why they don't take them? Sometimes it's awareness. Sometimes it's, their parents are not encouraging them. What we hope with this game is to raise awareness and drive them to take the pills. Another one is 9 minutes. 9 minutes takes the 9 months of pregnancy, compresses it to 9 minutes of gameplay. Each minute is a level. Each minute equals 1 month. And it's all about the do's and don'ts of pregnancy. Why? Because it's a big issue in the developing world. Here, it's very obvious for us that a pregnant girl or a woman will go to the doctor, will follow nutrition guidelines, but it's much more difficult in developing countries. Sometimes it's very far to go to the doctor, and the husband would tell his wife, why would we even bother? It's very expensive. This game is, again, about raising awareness about those things you need to do during the 9 months of pregnancy. And this is going to be launched in June in India and Africa. So back to reality. Welcome to Las Vegas. Welcome to the neon lights and the shining hotels and the wealth and entertainment. If you could take one thing from my short presentation today, I hope it would be that when you walk at CES and exhibit halls and booths, so I'm not sure my marching order is really to do Occupy CES, where are the other 90%? But even if it's not that, just think about it. Think about how we can use our creative powers and invest in products and services that are actually using existing technologies. So I agree with everyone that the future is here. The future is definitely in the tablets and the smartphones and those high-end devices that our kids will learn with, and it will change the way they learn. It will change the way they communicate with each other. It will change the way they think about the world. But I also think the future is here. The future is how we can develop products and services to mobile devices, Java technology, going 5 years, 10 years back in the technology progression, to people that your app or your game might be the first time ever they play something like that. Thank you very much.